Hello and welcome back to Eternal Tournament Series Season 1 Week 6 coverage. We're here in Round 2. I am Sir Rhino, and helping me to bring the sweet, awesome Eternal action for today is Counterbob. How you doing, Counterbob?
I am great, and I am excited. Well, let me take that back. I don't know if excited is the right word for our next matchup. I'm intrigued.
I'm ecstatic. Some players in chat have been asking, are we going to get some control on coverage? And sometimes bringing control into a brand new metagame is a risk. But these players are risk takers here as Phoenixton versus Tinman. We've got a pair of kind of an old favorite, maybe, if you want to say, depending on who you ask, in Chalice.
Favorite's a loose word.
Back. And then Tinman's got his own brew that he's been working on for a couple weeks here.
Yes, a deck featured around the card Solitude, which many players might not be too familiar with or excited to play against. But the deck is full of removal and control. There are 0 units in it. Other ways to end the game would be Channel Tempest, but it's going to be interesting. So those two harsh rules that we see in Phoenixton's hands currently are not going to do much.
Yeah, Phoenixton, the thing with Chalice is Chalice itself doesn't actually play that much removal either. Like, it is just harsh rule and then a whole lot of blockers that turn into cantrips thanks to Chalice that then draw more cantrips thanks to Chalice and slowly drain them out, and then maybe Channel the Tempest gets in there. But yeah, I mean, whatever removal spells they do play, the 4 Vanquish, the harsh rule, are blanks in this matchup. But that being said, Chalice also does a good job of blanking removal outs of the other control decks because all of their units, when you play them, essentially get you immediate value. The big change here for Chalice is Reliquary Raider is being featured in this list from Phoenixton. Jury's still out on whether or not the optimal Chalice list is going to play this card, but it doesn't hurt to try it out. It's now a 3-drop 1/3 where it used to be a 5-drop 4/4, and that puts it into Chalice range.
Yep, and it gains life when it needs to against the aggressive decks. It can draw you more cards. It's when you're playing Chalice, you want to draw more and more to start setting up. And this card can do both offense and defense when it needs to. Its recent buff is definitely going to be, I think, a real helpful addition to Chalice decks.
Yeah, it's also really cool that it's not only pairing well with Crystalline Chalice, but it also pairs pretty nicely with Combre Healer in that you can buff it up to like a 1/6, and even though it's not pushing through damage, it can swing every turn and draw a card. So that little interaction will be cool to keep an eye on as well. So really the card here, though, that's going to define this matchup, as you alluded to, is Solitude out of Tinman's deck. Chalice can draw a lot of cards, but if they draw too many, that Solitude eventually just becomes a 1-hit KO burn spell. And the Chalice deck only has 2 Islands choices to counter it. And I guess Face Aegis from the 2 Cobalt Waystones.
Yeah, so those are going to be the important cards here. But there's plenty of ways to get rid of the Face Aegis with stuff like Extract, Setback, things of that nature.
Yeah, Vara's Favor.
Yep, Vara's Favor. So it's definitely interesting to see how they each play this out.
Yeah. I think this matchup can become a laugher if one of the 3 main deck Rhino Frogs hits a Chalice. The problem is if it whiffs on Chalice, those frogs just are Chalice targets anyway. So that'll be some fun tension to tackle as well. We're going to let these players know that we're ready for this control versus control matchup because this is I am really going to enjoy this.
Yeah, there's not many decks you see with main deck Rhino Frogs, and if you do, it's usually maybe 1, maybe 2. This is 3.
Yeah, 3 main deck already. When you call your deck Total Recall, I guess you sort of are obliged to put as many frogs as, or almost as many frogs as possible in there. Yes.
And the deck only does have the 1 Solitude, but you have 2 Omens, so you can search for it. So it's like you're playing 3.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tinman also has access to Nazindal's Gift, but it's not main deck, so we won't be seeing that in game 1, which in the past has been a pretty strong card against Chalice strategies.
Definitely. This is probably the prime card that'll come in after this first game. We see Phoenixton's already shipped one of those harsh rules away with its Strategize.
Yep, Strategize showing off its upside there, where it was effectively just a cheaper Wisdom of the Elders. Phoenixton is only playing 1 Wisdom for Strategize, which does make, that's swapping in there is an interesting choice. It's not like it's making your influence that much easier, but it will help in certain spots.
Yep. And now we see two of the 3 Rhino Frogs in Tinman's hand. No removal, so this Raider is going to draw some cards here.
It's not often you see a 1-3 that's the first play on turn 3 survive, but here we are. It will live here and start drawing cards, as Tinman has no answer in sight for it just yet.
Yeah, pushing a seat down to the bottom as he already has enough power. So we'll see if there's a nice hit off this Raider, but then there could be the worry of this Rhino Frogs coming in, hitting something that we don't want.
Yep, but Phoenixton sees a Temple Scribe on top, keeps that on top, and we'll just trot that out as well here. Not going to hold on to that and buff up the Reliquary Raider out of extract range.
I like that plan very much. So it's another draw resource. You want to keep it out of any sort of removal. There's the Death Strikes, the Banishes, stuff like that, but might as well narrow it down.
Yeah, Tinman still has a lot of answers to this card. 3 Permafrost, 2 Death Strike, 4 Feeding Time, but has none of them in hand, and we'll use Rhino Frogs here to take out either the 2 Acolytes or the Temple Scribes. I think it makes more sense to hit Acolytes here. There's 2 of them in hand, so that's less Destiny triggers to worry about. And you don't care about the Harsh Rule, obviously.
Yeah, it makes the most sense. You might be worried about draw, but you also, it's already in hand. Don't have to worry about the Destiny. It'll thin out the deck with, the Acolytes getting the power, so.
There we see Acolytes do get transformed. Phoenixton draws another blank and Vanquish, but as long as his Reliquary Raider's still alive, he's got to feel pretty good about how this match is going.
Yes. So probably play out these Frogs. There is some sort of mass removal in the form of Stray, so you might be worried about that.
Yeah, Stray, Lightning Storm, and Devastating Setback are all in Tinman's main deck. So metering out some of these, holding out for Chalice is reasonable, especially because the Frogs cost 0. You can play Chalice and a Frog and activate Chalice all next turn if you top deck a Chalice here.
Yep. We see the One of Solitude in Tinman's hand already. That won't come down for many turns, though.
Yeah, he has the option. He's got a couple options here. Could Lightning Storm just to clear out 2 of these units. You want to trim Chalice targets before Chalice shows up, but just going to use Vara's Favor. Last time he used Rhino Frogs last turn, there weren't any other tempting hits, so he's going to hold on to it. The problem is, if Phoenixton draws a Chalice, it's going to come out of hand right here, and that's what we see.
Yep, there it is. That's a good one.
Yep.
Play that. You can play a Frog. Activate.
Yep, Chalice plus Frog plus Activate. And this was the downside of Rhino Frogs that we talked about in this matchup, is Chalice can make use of those. Those are now 3/3s that draw cards.
Yeah. Seems pretty good. That's I would take that over an Amber Acolyte, actually.
Mm-hmm. So another Rain will come out. That'll hit, I don't know, Marshall, maybe? But,
yeah.
I guess
it's not really great.
Ombre Healer has the ability to take things out of sweeper range.
Yeah, that's probably the thing I was going to get to next. It makes the most sense because if he has a Lightning Storm in hand, he'd be able to protect the other Ombre Healers or it itself.
Phoenixton here, he's got his engine going. This Reliquary Raider has dodged removal thus far and has been drawing lots of cards, and now Chalice is drawing lots of cards, and Tinman's not able to keep up with all of this, and man, gets to scout a Harsh Rule to the bottom here too.
Yeah, he's going to draw a card off Reliquary Raider and then off Chalice. See 2 new cards. So he's sitting pretty compared to Tinman's hand of a bunch of nothing against this board state. Yeah,
right now Solitude is not really doing quite enough here to finish off the game. Phoenixton have 55 cards in hand and only 2 in the void.
Yep. You got to draw another card off Temple Scribe, so he's filtered through three cards here. And really isn't worried about any of the sweepers. Stray will do it. He'll get to keep his Raider, so the Raider won't be able to attack. But he can activate Chalice on it afterwards, so.
Yeah, like Phoenixton's biggest concern now at this point is potentially flooding by just having a bunch of blank draw steps in a row, and that's about it. Death Strike is the draw here for Tinman, and finally the Raiders' reign of terror ends.
Finally, we have seen one harsh rule get put to the bottom from a crest and one from a strategize. So there's 2 dead draws away.
Yep, 2 dead draws away, and then the Vanquish in hand. Still a couple of strategizes to find to put more away. And yeah, there's some more power from Phoenixton, but Chalice can be activated to keep drawing cards. He's got plenty of pressure going. Tinman's at 15 and is facing down multiple threats here, and is actually just going to even swing with this 1/1.
Yeah, that's interesting. I guess it's just gonna activate off that to get it. Oh, he's flooding out, which is unfortunate. Do you like drawing before playing the crest, or you like cresting first?
I don't know if it matters too much. I think you can still crest afterwards, although he decided to play the undepleted power.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, but okay, another Death Strike out from Tinman, but this is the problem: is this 1 for removal is not going to work when a Chalice is already in play. And
the Lightning Storm would have gotten rid of 2 of the units. Death Strike, 1 of the others, but there are still 2 3/3 frogs left over.
Yeah,
how about that?
Tinman didn't find a stray into shadow there, didn't draw enough wisdoms or strategizes to keep up in the card advantage race, and fell to the army of frogs.
Yeah, so Tinman's sideboard full of more removal.
Yeah.
And there's 5 units in total, 2 Blacksite Harbingers and a Thunderstrike Dragon, 3 of them. You see them coming in? I don't...
It's possible that you want those threats. I definitely think the extra banish comes in.
Yep, definitely.
That hits Chalice. Disjunctions could come in as well.
Yep.
Like, these are all more reliable answers, I think, than Rain of Frogs to Chalice. You might still keep in some number of Rain of Frogs just to hit your opponent's Channel the Tempest and Island's Choice and things like that. But if you're, Chalice is the big backbreaker in this matchup, and I think trying to maximize answers to that is smart. And you're also trying to make room for Zindal's Gift. So once you make room for all those cards, I don't know if you want to even bother bringing in any of these units. Maybe the Harbinger, just because it's still removal attached to a body, and your opponent's going to take out the Harsh Rule and Vanquishes. So, there's not much harm to bringing those in. But I guess Phoenixton actually can't take out all of them because there aren't enough cards to bring in the sideboard.
Yeah, there's not enough.
He has 4 non-removal spells in the sideboard in Scorpion Wasp, Parliament, and Channel the Tempest. All the other spells are also removal spells. So some amount of Harsh Rule or Vanquish by necessity has to stay in unless he just decides to turn them into bring downs or something.
Yeah, I would assume you just bring in those 4 units for the 4 Harsh Rules and keep the Vanquishes just in case, because Vanquish would kill both those units in the sideboard.
Yeah, that makes sense. Seems to be the right move. I guess by that logic, you could also do Bring Down, because Bring Down also kills all of them. But it doesn't really matter one way or another. Or you could actually do a split to play around Rain of Frogs.
Sure, yeah, to Bring Down to Vanquish.
Yeah, it might be the optimal solution, if you want to call it that, is split of Vanquish
or
and Bring Down.
1 Vanquish, 2 Bring Down, 1 Permafrost.
Yeah, something like that, however you want to slice it. But we'll see as the players get their sideboards ready to go, and it looks like game 2 will be underway here.
Let's see. It's like resolving mulligans. Phoenix in hand doesn't look too bad. He has Kothon on 2, Combat Healer on 3, followed by Strategize. Then Tinman, Rain of Frogs looks like at least 1 stayed in. You see it's in his hand. And the only removal is the Permafrost that won't hit the Kothon. So.
Yeah, it's weird, but Chalice wants to be the beatdown in this matchup. You don't hear that too often, but that's kind of the beauty of Chalice, is it has the ability to do that. It is a bunch of units. It's even though it's a control deck that likes the late game, really all it is playing threat after threat after threat that ideally replace themselves once you have the Chalice going. And even in the meantime, they usually have immediate value, although that changed once you introduce Kothon to the deck, and now with Reliquary Raider as well, you have a couple more units that don't have immediate summon impact.
And most of the units they play are pretty cheap. So if you want to get aggressive, you're playing 2 drops, 3 drops, 4 drops. I think what Lumen is 5.
Yeah, Lumen's a Defender's a 5-drop, and that's the most expensive unit you're playing. You still have Channel the Tempest in your deck, which costs 8, but other than that, it's a pretty lean deck.
Yeah, and then we'll have the 3 Great Parliaments, which is 4, and late game they're great. So follow up any sweeper that Tinman does play.
Steve will be giving the players the go-ahead here. Match will get underway. I'm guessing mulligans have resolved, but maybe they haven't. But both of these hands are good enough to keep anyway. As you were talking to, they both have pretty nice curve outs where Tinman doesn't have removal except for a permafrost, but that does answer Reliquary Raider, which is probably what's sticking out in his mind as the first must-answer threat from Phoenixton.
And can crest, so
yeah. And who is on the play this game is the other question, because Rain of Frogs on the plane can actually take out a Chalice, which is pretty nice. Although regardless in this matchup, with Phoenixton having a Channel the Tempest in hand, it'll get something good.
There's the Raider.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a good start from Phoenixton here. See if Tinman can follow up with anything. There's a sweeper with Stray Shadow, so that can help him out. That's not going to come down till this Raider gets, 2 swings in?
Yeah, well, Tinman has the permafrost.
Oh, sure.
So I think he'll be able to answer that Raider. It might mean he has to take a turn off of using Rain of Frogs, or in this case, Wisdom of the Elders, which is unfortunate for him. But if he's trying to hit power anyways, he doesn't mind just using a Vera's Favor to help him guarantee the curve out into Stray into Shadow as he draws a Cobalt Waystone for turn.
Yeah, he should be all right. Sometimes just using those as refills. Right now, doesn't need to quite dig. He has the removal he needs, the power acceleration needs for the time being.
Vera's Favor is a valuable tool. Your opponent plays a decent number of units with 1 health. It also can pop Aegis, but I think just in a control versus control matchup, it's really important to just have your power hit power every turn, because you're both going to be drawing lots of cards and having lots of things to do. And if you fall behind, that's a bigger issue than not having a Vera's Favor to hit a unit in play.
Yeah, definitely. In control matches, it's always who doesn't hiccup is the biggest thing.
So yeah, Tinman finds another Stray and had the option to let this Reliquary Raider swing 2 more times before even being able to cast Stray into Shadow. Doesn't want to take that risk. Instead uses the permafrost, passes up on using Wisdom this to effectively blank a Wisdom of the Elders from his opponent.
Now, if Phoenixton strategizes here, do you like strategizing first before playing the Scout? The Crest, rather?
That's always it depends on if you know exactly what you're looking for. But yeah, he didn't strategize. He decided to go with the healer. So I think if you're planning on strategizing, I would not have scouted first.
Ooh, boy, that's a good hit. Rain of Frogs taking out both channels from hand, and then anyone's for the remainder in the deck. And then I assume we saw Phoenixton hold those back pretty well. Wasn't just throwing them out there, so they might not fall into this Stray. Although after the first one, he may be tempted to throw them out there, and then they'll get hit by the second. I
think we'll just see Phoenixton go. She'll just go Amber Acolyte into strategize and probably bottom a Frog, depending on what they find.
Definitely make the most sense. Keep the premium Frog.
Oh, yeah.
Better value.
There we see plays the power and finds a Chalice. All right, that's big. It's going to be in hand for a turn. It will be exposed to Rain of Frogs for 1 turn, but I think Tinman's more interested in using a Stray into Shadow on the next turn anyways, even if he drew a Rain of Frogs.
And the Kothon will survive. He'll be able to get pumped up by the Chalice, and also if it survives another turn, it can activate if Phoenixton hits the power. There's power.
So Phoenixton has the option of either going Chalice, activate Chalice on Kothon, or activating Kothon. I like getting the Chalice out of hand just so it has a chance to dodge Rain of Frogs, although of course it's post-board. Phoenixton's opponent, Tinman, could have brought in Banish and Disjunction like we talked about. So I don't know how big of a difference it is, and instead goes with the Kothon activation.
Yeah, and you see him already play aReNGee, so maybe you're not too worried about him having a second one. It's a risk, but I don't mind it.
Yep. So Tinman just uses a second Stray to clean up this board. And here Phoenixton finds another Kothon, but can go Chalice Frog, activate Chalice. And I think we're going to see that play again.
That's what we saw game one. That's what started the Chalice chain. And we can start pumping it up. And there's another power. So if he hits another one next turn, that Parliament will turn into 2 owls.
Yeah. But I think we might see a devastating setback on Phoenixton's face here. Maybe Tinman will use Wisdom first. They drew a Zindel's Gift, but not quite as strong when Phoenixton's this low on cards.
Yeah, it's not
can't
gonna
cast it anyways.
Yeah, it's not going to do that much currently, but the setback might. I don't know. It's tough because he doesn't play that many. He's still going to go for it. Using your power most effective makes the most sense, especially when they already have a Chalice out. The -2/-2 is not going to do the most.
Yeah, but Phoenixton immediately draws another Parliament. Doubt we'll see that get cast, though, until they hit their 8th power, which, you know, Kothon, activate Chalice on Kothon, maybe draw 8th power and play the Parliament anyways. You've seen 2 Stray into Shadows already, so you don't get, oh, it's depleted. Can't cast
so close.
Here. Yeah.
Still super good setup for next turn because you possibly play whatever you draw next because your deck is full of cheap units, cheap spells, except for Channel Tempest, as there's now a frog, so you don't even have to worry about that.
Yeah, and it's hard for Tinman to go as Zindel's Gift here when he's already staring down 7 strength on the board at 13 health. That's a 2-turn clock in of itself. I think we might see some strategizing going on here instead and try and sculpt a plan to deal with the board.
Yep, strategize into extract on the frog. Depending on what he draws. Just going to go Gift.
Goes Gift. I just don't think Gift is that strong here. It will take out this Island's Choice guaranteed, but the rest of your opponent's deck is just units that he can deploy out anyways on 8 power with only 1 card in hand. I'm not a fan of that play here when you're now down to 6 health.
Yeah, especially since the Kothon can still activate. I would rather dig to an answer for that than worry about the 1 card that my opponent might draw.
Yeah, basically, Tinman was like, all right, I'm going to make you choose between playing your cards in hand or activating Kothon. The problem was he didn't have the time or luxury to make his opponent make that decision because of how low he was on health.
Yeah.
He will survive here, though. Goes up to 9 health thanks to Extract and drawing Death Strike off the top. So he's got to find its last copy of Stray into Shadow.
Yeah, it's really... Yep, that's the only out. And he has 3 main. Let me look real quick.
Yeah, 3 total.
3 total, 3. That's it. So the strategize will be the seal event.
Yep, Banish and Solitude are not going to get him out of this one. I guess the other possible combination of draws there would have been undepleted power and a Black Sky Harbinger if he brought in Harbinger. That would have kept him alive.
Or a Lightning Strike and the Banish.
Yeah, something like that. But nope, just a Banish. And you know, that is Zindel's Gift. All it did was take out an Island's Choice at that spot. I think that was a costly error.
Yeah, I think you just need to dig at that point. The gift, like the threat was on the table, not in the hand. So you needed to deal with your threats that you could see. They were more important. Your life total was too low to just try to play the gift and sit back on it.
Yeah. So Chalice simply applying too much pressure for Tinman to handle. Even got a Rain of Frogs to hit 2 Channel the Tempest in that matchup. That sounds like the dream, but was not enough.
Yeah, it's just that we saw Rain of Frogs hit in both games and just not really do too much. I don't think it really... We saw the frogs do more damage than maybe what they would have been. Mm-hmm. The Channel Tempest wouldn't have gotten cast till later. They would have gotten probably discarded by Gift. And what the frog did, 6 damage, I think.
Yeah, those frogs were doing some work. Both games, they got to do that sweet play of on 6 power with the 0 cost. All right, and it looks like we don't have any backups for this round. So we're going to jump to either deck techs or some other extra coverage in a sec. But in the meantime, wanted to do a quick little plug about the Eternal Tournament Series. What's going on right now? This is a weekly open event that is community run. Anybody is free to join and play. It's a great fun time. It's every Saturday. Starts at noon. You can register. You should register ahead of time, or else you can't play. And it's broken up into seasons. And at the end of the season, depending on how you do in those opens that anybody can register in, there's an invitational. So if you do well in those opens, you get into the invitational, and that's where the cash prizes and other awesome things start to add up. At the end of the year, there's a big championship as well, and it's a lot of fun. It's one of the few ways to be able to play best of 3 Eternal in the game right now. And if you want to become a better player, or you just want to try a different style, a different metagame of Eternal, I really recommend playing in the Eternal Tournament Series. It's a ton of fun. And even if you don't want to play, we do coverage every weekend here, and it's a lot of fun to watch, almost more fun in some ways. So check it out. There's always more information at aReNGeeternal.com.
Indeed, can be more fun to watch. Less stress. Just sit back, relax, point out other people's mistakes. Always good.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to act like you're better than everybody else, right? That's America's favorite pastime.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So with that, we're going to take a quick break, get the next round ready to go, and maybe we'll see more Chalice in our future. I'm sure everybody's looking forward to that.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. You can tell how excited I am.